Believe it or not, that's the name of the show, right? How many people want to know what it's like to do your own show and have to just immediately start with that kind of title? In essence, it's the view of life for the most part. Am I in the vision of love for all souls? How many people would say, it doesn't always feel like it? It's not going to, people. And I say that with love. If you feel the love of your soul, you start to hear the visions of others sometimes, and it doesn't feel like they all love you. You have to tap in to those visions of love from those who are so strong in their hearts that they override the negativity. Okay, so that's the beauty of people who I know, right? I will honor my love for my family and friends, but I want to speak to those who are just now joining me or who will in the future and who have not had the benefit of watching some of the other videos. Please disregard any soul session videos where we talk about the nature of kind words, right? There are some videos that are very strong. And in essence, people are going to say, well, those visions don't feel like love to me. If they challenge my beliefs, is that somehow unloving? Now, others will say acceptance of all is the beauty that most of us will fall into when we go to the nature of soul. Soul embodiment is a whole nother story. Okay. In essence, you will have those light workers who will come through with views that are strong and very guided by strong beings of love. Whether or not they resonate with you is a whole nother other story. Okay. Now, the 5-year itch. We're going to talk about that, right? People are going to assume it's about relationships. It's not. Sometimes in our souls, we have guides that come in and out of our lives. That's what happened to me and another soul a long time ago. Okay? But in essence, I'm still creating with them. Okay? I get reminded about people in my past who felt a little dishonored by something that I did that was probably pretty, well, it was harmless in my mind. I didn't think I was really hurting anybody. When we just slowly drift away from a person versus cutting it off very suddenly, right? That is a difference of opinion. Some people will say, I didn't want to be left behind. That's the nature of what we do sometimes. We sometimes leave people behind who are in our hearts and we say, I can't be with you anymore based on some attribute. I expect that from my loved ones around me. I'm not expecting my friends or my family to continually watch these episodes, and I want to honor those new viewers and say thank you for watching. We're going to talk about the nature of channeling versus guidance, and I will always put it out there that this vision that I hold in my heart very dear is very much in the mode of all channeling will be under the umbrella of guidance. Now, it doesn't mean that it's going to be serious or that it's going to be hurtful to your mindsets, right? I'm telling you, if you go to a lot of the spiritual retreats, you're going to be challenged in your mindset sometimes, and it could bring up, feelings of rejection or I'm not good enough. That's a lot of it. And we want to talk about that nature of, do I believe the visions that others place upon my heart? Do I believe in the fact that I am guaranteed a job in just about any sector based on the qualities that I bring to the table? How many people are going to want to know what that means? When you go to a guidance session and you sit down and you can bring through the soul level understanding of a person, place, or idea, I can do business work for those of you that want to feel out the vision of, will my business dealings, fall into the right hands? I am able to do that work. I've guided loved ones in their business journeys, believe it or not. I do get visions of my own soul self every once in a while. I know that sometimes they come through on the screen. I want to say thank you for those of you who are supportive of the views of love and can honor that vision that, sometimes I'm feeling a little, good, and I don't want to be so serious. That's me. I was watching some candid camera right before I came on, and that's the beauty of my heart. I love to laugh. So it's not always about the seriousness of who I am, but I know that others are going to say, these are some strong hitters that you're bringing through with those visions of love from soul level understanding. How do I know if it's true or not? Think about it. If you are not watching all of the episodes and you're not seeing the vision as it plays out, you're only skipping to certain sections, you're going to miss the love part of it for the most part. You might hear the visions of, I'm being challenged based on someone else's vision that I agree with, or maybe it's someone I don't agree with, and now I can see the beauty of who they are. That's the beauty of love. You see, it's not about saying I agree with my vision or I don't. I don't always have it in my heart to say I love all souls, right? I honor that vision, but I don't have to like who they are. And this will be repeated in many, many circles. I don't have to like them. It means I don't have to bring them into my heart. I'm not going to bring in, some, outlaws. I hear that sometimes. That's part of my vision of guidance for future. If I need to, I will do the it's not a disservice to anybody, here. But people want to know more, right? Or are people getting a little nervous? I'm not going to do much about the soul embodiment vision, but that's the nature of where we go. I'm going to talk for a few minutes usually, get myself a little comfortable, right? Before I bring through the, heavy hitters? The violence of the ball games? No. See, I hear about baseball games sometimes, but it's more about someone in my heart who loves baseball. I want to acknowledge my family members that love to play the game. How many people are wondering, well, they're not playing it, but they're coaching it. Thank you so much for your support. In essence, I want to say I love you all. However, if you don't bother to watch, it's not a bother. It's like, believe what you want always. Because your soul will come through with those visions that are specific to you. If you go into that vision of, I need something seriously strong in order to believe that there's a channel on the line versus Brenda's own heart. I am of all. So just because I'm not bringing forth the vision that you place upon me as I need to hear from my mother, my grandfather, my doctor, right? I hear from my own doctor sometimes. Okay, I know what's going to happen in the future with my fingers. I get messages from my soulmates telling me what their preferences are about certain things. And it's not anything bad, okay, or, risque or anything like that. It's just the nature of starting to connect with more and more people. And I want to honor all of our hearts during this process of pandemic, because in essence, I literally went into a Target to go buy some stuff, and I started chatting up a lady who was behind me. Oh my gosh. And it was taking forever because there was some issues with a gift card I had. I was probably there for 10 minutes, and this poor lady, she was so nice. And I just thought, oh my gosh, it's so nice just to sit there and strike up a conversation with someone and meet someone, even behind the mask. That's who I am. Do you know what I said to her in the mindset before we started speaking? I said, I'm so sorry. Because she had her groceries on the cart, on the counter already. And I was sitting there going, how many people are impatient? Right? I'm not impatient. I am one of those people like, I will let everyone go. Okay? So what does this have to do with believing it or not? I'm not here to try and jump through hoops for people. Okay? Now, those of you who love me will honor that vision. They'll start to get a clue about why I do what I do, which is always about, not always, it's like I don't want to just open up the show with a celebrity and say, hey, Justin Timberlake's going to be on the line, right? Those of you who were around on Friday's session knew that in essence, the soul of Justin Timberlake might make a special appearance. We're still figuring out how that one's going to work out, right? How many people want to know, how does she do what she does? Is it okay by their hearts, right? Oh boy, this is going to get strong. Brenda's feeling some of the envy of God, right? So in essence, she was already hearing messages about his vision of stardom. He knew from a childhood age, he had the vision of, I'm going to be famous. He planted those seeds and he kept going for it. How many people still do that vision and they say they don't make it? Okay, it's not just about your mindset. You have to be in the right place at the right time. That's where your soul will guide you to the right spot. Okay, so in essence, channeling is a beautiful expression. Soul embodiment will get me where I need to go. Guaranteed. Okay, now, whether or not you listen to that vision of love for your own heart is another story, right? It's a whole different story. But it's all beautiful. Like, I can incorporate all aspects of my heart into this vision. If I bring through future predictions in a soul embodiment session, is that going to somehow discount the vision of soul embodiment? This is the beauty of it. I said I'm not going to limit my abilities. How's that for loving myself fiercely? Okay, because I connect with the hearts and minds of most. Because in essence, of course, I'm not going to be bringing forth all souls. Okay, what that means is that in essence, I honor the vision that they were here at one point or another in time in a human form, right? And they are either in this vision of I'm still connecting with them on other levels. I had an experience with the soul of Prince after we connected on the vision of film. And it was a very shocking experience for me. Not bad, but it was definitely not exactly what I was thinking I would be doing, right? So let's talk about the nature of celebrity status. People on the other side of the fence are going to start to go, oh my gosh, I want this woman's guide. Tell me who I am on the inside. Tell me, do I have it? Do I have what it takes to make the next level of understanding obvious? I've embodied their hearts. That's the beauty of it. When celebrities say, I am not all that, right? How many of them say, I'm not all that? How many of them come to that conclusion? Because in essence, how many of them lose their status? How many people come and go in our view of what celebrity status is? If I brought through a president, right, of past, does that count? I can bring through that vision of, the current president. I'm not going to today. I've done plenty of that work. So just because you have a famous name doesn't mean you're actually more, inclined to come through. That's the beauty of those who say, well, my preacher from the other visions, right? I hear from those religious figures. Sometimes I will hear from, souls that are very strong in their presence. I have conversations and get guidance from the soul of Gandhi quite a bit as of late. And sometimes I reject it because I'm like, okay, where are we going with that? I don't want to get too hooked up into the vision of Gandhi, right? He's a peacekeeper of the world. He knew how to do certain aspects of it. He's one of my guides. Okay. Now, in essence, others are going to say, well, that's not impressive. I was already in that vision of I know how to do the work of love. That would have been the Christ soul who already made it to that vision of love, right? That's who I have in my heart. These are the souls that will say to you, I love you, and then throw a dagger at you, right? I've had certain experiences where I created that vision, okay? And that's why I want people to be very clear about what kind of abilities they want to bring through, okay? So, and you'll notice there might be some temperature fluctuations. Channel for the Soul will also be instructive in visions of channeling. And I'm going to laugh a little bit because here I am. My guide is always with me. So I do imbibe upon the vision of energy work. And it's not the traditional channel. I am not bringing forth people's visions like a traditional channel. The problem that most people have with a guide is it's not as specific. People don't understand that, seriously, soul embodiment guide will actually be one of those things that is the next buzzword. People think it's going to go away. It is not. That's my future foretelling, and I will let people know it's what people have been trying to do for centuries. They just don't know what they're doing. Literally. Okay? Now, so those sessions are very strong. If you hear the vision of soul love is beyond amazing. And it doesn't mean it's not just romantic. So I have my heart open to all the souls that have ever come through for me. And I sometimes hear their visions. I will send out this vision through my own soul. Please don't let them be interrupted in their vision of love wherever they reside, in whatever realms. And that's the nature. They still create with me because they were so enlightened by the views of love that so many are just here to just say, hey, I'm having fun. For me, I'm trying to help people open up to the nature of our hearts. Because I want our hearts to be the focus, right? Sometimes it can be the fun stuff. Okay, Justin Timberlake may have an issue with the vision of soul that I bring through for his soul, right? Isn't that what kind words of love, right? What kind words of love would his soul bring through for us? Now, his soul is residing on many realms. He's very old in his mind at some point, right? This is not just about the realm of 3D or 4D. It's about what vision of love he's residing in. Does he reside in the view of love for all souls? He has his own views about who he likes or doesn't like, right? Now, there's another soul that keeps trying to come through for me, and that's the nature of Condoleezza Rice. And I haven't given her her due. Let's put it that way. And if you watch the previous sessions, sometimes you might, see bits and pieces. Some of the sessions that I do are going to be very private. And they might have specific messages for certain people. So that's the nature of where I go. And that's why I can also land in the, film industry, of course, right? I'm not looking to do movies. But in essence, it's more like I can help those souls who need an inside edge on the governmental policies, okay? And people are going to start to go, yeah. But in channeling, what is it that I would be channeling, right? My own soul? So others are like, oh, you're just channeling your old, it's the old selves. Those are the older beings that have a very limited idea about what soul embodiment or channeling is. We're expanding the vision of what a channel and a guide and a heartbreaker is Justin. And he says, I've got a lot of women on the line, women, and he wants to be known as the beauty of all. He says, I can attract a woman like nobody's business, but in essence, I had to work my way through the vision of self-worth. How many people say I was bullied or I was teased as a child? In some cases, most of us have had our splitting image of another soul, right? He says he's a splitting image of another soul in his mind. He felt like he looked like somebody else. He was always being compared to people in his circle. And he said, I had to break free from that group. I had to break free from the vision of it's like a dying energy work. She's feeling information coming through. If he's coming through just to break the hearts and minds of those souls that said that they tried to work with his soul, and he said, I don't have to ascend to any other level of love other than the soul of God. That's where most reside. And so we want to honor your visions of God. Because in essence, the majority of people do fall under that umbrella of God energy, or of other faiths. They might fall under the energy of Buddha, which still is in honor of God. They're all walking together. The ascended masters are all there in various realms of creation. Whether or not you believe it or not is up to you. Now, I'm not going to bring through the Buddha. Okay, other people understand the nature of our vibrations is what realms do we travel in. I don't really reside in the vision of, well, it's not that I don't reside in heaven. I do. I understand that vision of what happens when I pass from this plane of existence to another. The spiritual beings of love would want to hear from a religious soul. Karen and Day was another vision of two souls who have not turned on the screen as of yet at the same time. But in essence, we create that vision of channel who can also imbibe upon the beauty of life. So this is the nature of where we go. Now, if I wanted to go to a session where I was to bring forth the visions of love for those viewers who are on the screen or who will be in the future, I would say thank you for joining me again. Congratulations on your soul work. You're doing beautiful. Most of us who are residing in this realm of love for either the soul embodiment or channeling or guidance for the soul, because it's soul level understanding that is really where I tend to focus my energy. I'm not in the vision of love for holiday parties at this point, am I? That is where I would love to go. The holiday parties are among us. I am understanding of the nature of love. Sharon Stone was another vision of love that will have her heart handed to her by another soul. Here you go, honey. I have a gift for you. That's the nature of her soul. She was very mindful of the vision of looking the right way, acting the right way, talking the right way, eating the right way, being the right way. And she still didn't have what it takes in many cases to last in an industry as of yet. She's not gone yet. Don't count me out until I say I'm out. That's her vision. I come back strong. Now, many of the hearts and minds of those would say, how are you doing that? It's not her, it's her soul. She has aspects of her soul that reside within the vision of love, right? That's the nature of many. They come through very strong, very heartwarming, very caring, very open, very strong in their hearts. The blonde-haired, blue-eyed beauties of the world are getting discounted in a lot of ways. She's the strong, silent one. She says, I'm not silent, but I definitely don't show my stuff as much as what I would normally do, because in essence, I get labeled various things. That's the vision that Brenda will often get labeled as. I've had to hear that vision thrown at me once or twice. And I can tell you right now, it does not resonate. It hurts. So we're going to talk about the nature of Sharon Stone's vision for her heart. It's like the crown Gloria, right? So, okay, I'm not going to go to a nature of family tree, but I could, for those of you who might be watching now because you're getting your visions read. Gloria and Gonzalez are connected. And I want to say you're loved for who you are. Your mother says hello. She sees your beauty as you are. She's not watching you in the, private matters of life with your spouse. I honor your vision. She's not going to come through and just say, I love you, because that's not honest enough. I want you to be more careful about your planned, it's like your planned parenthood support is needed for certain people. That's where she goes. And in essence, she says, you did the job you needed to do with your children. Now enjoy your soul's vision of love for the holidays. I carry you in my heart wherever you go. You will always be residing in my soul's vision of love. I honor your hearts. Your soul it's like the drinking of love. Drink and drive no more to all souls. But that's not the nature of it. There's certain things that are happening in certain circles of love. Someone else is also in that vision of let's not drink and drive during the holidays. This is like the public service announcement or something. So the Gonzalez family, we are going to say, is very much honored for their beauty, their hearts, and their souls. You are never less than in the hearts and minds of anyone else in this family. Please don't assume that you had that feeling of it in many ways, but my child will always be honored as the most gorgeous woman in my heart. Whether or not she actually feels like it in her mind, it does not matter. I carry her soul with me to the heavenly realms when we get there. You are not close to going to that realm. Stop acting like you need a new car. You don't need a new car. That's what you would expect her to say. I need a new car. That's something going on in the vision of the Gonzalez family. Okay? Hearts alive. To bring forth the vision of love, she would say, please honor that vision of I will not destroy that vision. I want them to understand that they're being loved for who they are. We caretake our souls only so far before we say, that vision is strong. They will get their message of love from the mother figure. There is more than one. However, in her heart with the Gloria, there is only one. And she will honor that vision as love. Now, the 3-year itch is another soul. We're talking 3 years until David and my aunt have their own various understandings about the nature of their own faith that brings them to that lifting point of I have arrived. So you are on your own paths of embodiment, and you can very well do that beauty within a soul level understanding. And you don't need to, envision yourself it's like you understand the beauty of I feel better. Okay, I feel better than, in these visions sometimes. That's a great place to start. You have so it's like you have the vision. It's not a bad thing to be bold in your expression, and that's the nature of it. You're bold in your expression, and that's the beauty. You're inspirational in your visions. Okay, you have those visions. I have the vision that I'm bold. You could go higher in that vision. In essence, if you take out the neighbor's trash is somehow being used or abused. Someone's doing something with the neighbor's trash, or they have trash. What's going on with that vision? And if you have any idea about what that is, please feel free to let me know. Honestly, that's the vision of love for your own heart. Your own soul is saying he's strong in his heart. He's loved for who he is. He needs no guidance. He will be able to take on the soul of love when he rides that wave of love after he moves from this plane to the next. There's no need to try to ride the tidal, wave of awareness. With my soul in the lead, it's going to be a tidal wave, right? Not even close. It can be. It can feel like it for certain people. Certain people are going to feel like it is going to be a tidal wave of awareness when I come through with the guidance of love. We're not telling people to discard their faith. What we're saying is you embody that vision of love for all beautifully. And that's the beauty of it. And that's why you're being acknowledged. So don't ever take the visions of love that are challenging as your own dictates, okay? It is something that would be very open for, an instructional video on how do I know what's for me versus my friends or my family. This is where the nature of first names may come in, and second names are often used if it's needed. I'm not going to be able to control the vision of what a soul wants to come through with necessarily for their soul in order for them to get acknowledged. Condoleezza is another vision of love. She is bowing out so that those viewers on the screen can get their hearts read. Okay. Now, in essence, if you were using a touch tone phone, you could then, this is how bad it was for her. She's like, I can't even hardly understand that vision. Condoleezza Rice, as many people know, was she was Secretary of State for George Bush Jr., right? And that's why people are going, oh, okay, this is not just someone in the audience, right? She may be at some point, right? We don't know. Probably not. A lot of people in the organized faiths might have a little bit of an issue with who I am if they only take snippets of the information and read that and don't see the whole vision. So people, please understand that a lot of times those visions on, it's like the videos that I put out, please read the description. Please understand that the messages that are in the chapters are often just very, very general descriptions. I will always try to put trigger warnings for those of serious nature. This is about popularity contests now. How many people say there are so many channels that are guiding themselves to the past celebrity loves? I had to hear from the loved ones of a soulmate. I have to hear from the previous generation's souls that say, we reside on so many levels, I could get you Frank Sinatra's fifth dimensional soul versus his third when he was here. This is the nature of past, present, future being all combined into one beautiful package called soul level understanding. So in essence, I'm not going to go into a lot of detail about what happens when you disregard a famous celebrity. I was told literally as I was listening to the radio that B.B. King was going to make an appearance, right? No, he was going to make a recommendation for what I should listen to on the radio. That's how strong it is for some of us who do this work. So I would also encourage many to really think about the vision of what it can be to do this work. My privacy is definitely reduced, but to be honest, a lot of it has to do with the fact that I'm just, a mom. I will be a single mom just around the corner. Okay. And I do have my support system in place. Okay. This is part of the instructional video aspect, because Justin Timberlake is still rocking out like nobody's business. He just doesn't get the street cred like he used to. There's something going on with that vision of street cred. I'm the white boy, right? I don't get the street cred because of my looks. He always felt like he was a little funny looking, but he cleaned up nicely, didn't he? Now, many people are going to laugh and say, oh boy, that's... Literally, I could tell you, he has the cred now. That's how it would be brought through. Okay, but I'm not, you understand, I'm bringing through information based on a person who is not past. They're in a different vision of soul. Now, how many people want to know what his next project's going to be? He's thinking about doing visually stunning videos on MTV, right? That ship has sailed, in essence. It's still around. That show, he's like, I still do the visions of love for music, but I'm ready to move on into other areas of work. And he's struggled in that mindset of, how do I break free of an image of me just, being the playboy, right? He's trying to be the playboy in his mind, but he still feels the vision of love for his family tree and his friends. And in essence, he says that's the nature of where he would go. His soul would come through talk about his hearts, but not on a public, vision. In this way, he could give you his sister's name, right? Now, there is that's an interesting one. Okay. There was a name brought up in the last session that has not been acknowledged yet. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to honor you with the vision of love for holiday. It's like the holiday female parties. We need to get a little serious now, because what I'm bringing through is about the changes in your body as you go through the process of love for hearts. When people start to open up to the nature of other guides, they will say, I am not going to do that work. My own soul will guide me to the souls that will respect who I am as a guide. So that vision of who someone isn't necessarily their soul's whole self. And that's what soul embodiment is. He's a gentleman in his mind. He has that playboy attitude, but he's losing some of that vision of it. We have our hearts on the line. I'm not always going to be the bad boy. Okay? That's his soul. And he wants that vision to be more in line with the love of God or of his own soul. And he would say, I just want to settle down at some point, but I haven't made my bed yet. He doesn't feel like he embodies the vision that a lot of souls do. He gets a lot of bad rep as well. And he wants to be one of those souls that is very honest. Lose the weight. And that's where most people will start to understand. We're going to talk about the nature of what it is to sometimes hear the visions of what you think someone's going to say versus what they honestly feel. So, as a guide, when I went through this process, I just heard the loving words of God, right? That's where you go when you go into the vision of religion a lot of times, or even sometimes of spirituality. You will often connect to those higher visions. So with channeling from a soul level, you get a much more interesting experience. So I have to deal with those visions of love, okay? And when it's someone who's passed, we assume that they're the same as they were here, and we know that is not true. They do take off a lot of that conditioning that we bring here. Our loves are often with us because most of us are in that vision of, I just want to visit the heavenly realms. I want to visit with my friends, my family, my, coworkers or acquaintances. He says, I don't have much contact with my friends on the fifth dimension. So he is literally in that vision of, I'm starting to reach those higher vibrations based on something that he's reading or something that he's read. It could be any book. But in essence, when you read a book, people, you're creating with that vision. Doesn't mean you should be frightened. How many people watch murder mysteries? I used to watch Murder, She Wrote. Okay, literally, I would do knitting and stuff. That's the old lady aspect. That's the old soul for you right there, right? It was a peaceful thing for me to do at a time when I needed to do that kind of work. Now, does that mean I create those murders? A lot of people are going to go to the spiritual paradigms. You will hear a lot of scary stuff in those visions. 10 times what you would hear in the Bible. So a lot of people say, yeah, I'm good with the Bible because at least there I know we're all trying to be good, right? In essence, it's not about being good. it's about trying to do your best to bring forth what really matters for you. And in essence, his soul is laughing. He doesn't want to know what she's thinking, but he tried to do something with her energy to get her off the phone. So in essence, we're going to start to, believe it or not, it's already time to start to wind this down. And I understand that people want a more clear, calm, coherent, soft soul, right? That's how we picture it in church or in the spiritual paradigms, right? I'm not the laughing one anymore, right? Sometimes I just want to have the fun. But Justin is, I'm not laughing anymore. I don't want my vision brought out into the public sphere, right? His soul would say your grandmother wants to have a chit chat with you. You might want to pick up the phone and make a phone call because there's something going on with that vision. Now, in essence, whether or not the man has the courtesy or the guts, right? It's not about guts. It's a courtesy call. And we want to honor his vision and say, I will never dishonor your vision of privacy. I have privacy agreements in play on my website. I will do special agreements for those who are of fame or celebrity status. They will not have to worry about me disclosing their visions unless they give permission. Now, here's the thing that people are going to start to say, I don't understand. You're bringing through soul level information for those souls who didn't give permission. It is of a soul level understanding about who will and will not be deemed. It's like the soul would be coming through with information to guide us on aspects of who they are. But once we get to that vision of, family messages, unless he is actually going to watch the vision, it's not going to play out quite right. So he has to be able to watch the vision in order to see that his grandmother is actually trying to call out to his soul. And he will know what that means, and then he will know who to contact. It may take a year before he gets that message, but it will be received well, because he will know why it is needed. Okay. Now, Condoleezza Rice says this woman's strong. She's also full of crap. That's another vision, right? Not even close. Most people are thinking, in essence, that the soul of God is higher than the vision of soul. That's someone else's vision. So they have that ability to do that vision. If I have the vision of a soul on the line who is living and their visions are coming true, that's when they'll start to pay attention. Okay. So I'm not here trying to bully people into I don't want anyone picking up the phone trying to, contact celebrities or anything like that. I don't do that. I literally don't contact them. The souls contact me. Okay. So I want to take care of my hearts. Don't worry about me. I have got it all figured out, right? That's what the majority of people in this world think, right? No. If you're going to go down the path of guidance for the soul, you want to be able to bring forth that vision of love for why we sometimes have conflicts of interest, right? I have a conflict of interest between my friends and some of the messages that I have just brought through. They may say, I need to know why she gets that information, because in my mind, I need it to be me. I need that guide that says that they have the soul of someone who is living to be brought through, because what does that say about my heart? I am more than who I am here. That's the nature of it. We reside in many, very many realms, depending on the kinds of information that we search out. In essence, our lives are varied. We don't all have the same paths. We don't all have the same dimensions in our mindsets. Most just try to make it to 5, right? 5D, 5th dimension. You'll all make it to that heavenly realm, whether you think about it or not. You can call it many different things, depending on your belief system, but your soul walks with you. Honest to God, your soul walks with you. And others will say that's their vision of God. And that's okay, whatever they want to call that vision. It's that vision. The soul level understanding is very strong. It's very bold. It's very becoming. Okay, that's the process of becoming. And that's who we are. So let's bow our heads and pray, right? I'm not going to do a religious sermon, but for those of you that are in that vision of, I need to hear a prayer because I'm not feeling so happy. My friends or my family members weren't the ones that came through tonight. And I want to say, I honor your hearts. I honor your souls. I do. And it's not always written. Okay, that's another phrase that often gets said for those. It is written, right? That's the Mandalorian, kind of way, or that is the way. No, it is written it's a religious soul's vision, right? People are going to laugh. Yeah, I live my life more by, Star Wars than I do the Force. I can't help that one. No, it is written is one of those visions of love that comes through for those souls that need that vision of, I need a blessing or a prayer, to kind of wind us down. So let's talk about that vision of it is written. The stars in our eyes are often what we see. We created the vision of love for astronomy. We create the vision of love for hearts. So this vision is not always coherent because I have so many different belief sets that are being integrated into one vision. You see, as more and more people come to the vision of soul, they will start to understand why I'm so varied in my abilities. I don't just track with one kind of soul. So I'm not there just to do musicians, right? But there's a big link between the musicians of the world. And in essence, because I value that vision so much, I do get the musicians quite a bit. But I also have the visions of love for celebrities. I don't listen to celebrity guidance for the most part, other than recommendations like, hey, you might want to do this. I'm not listening to recommendations. That's my soul. I have to clue in to a different level of understanding to kind of get that vision of my soul. Okay. It takes time to hear the levels of understanding as they come through. It is like being an operator when you do the channeling aspect. And so you guys, you have your hearts on the line. Oh my gosh, I can't even imagine. So thank you for watching. Open our hearts to the nature of love for all. That's what the majority of the souls on the other side of the veil would say, right? It's all of us creating this beauty together. Whether or not we can do that or not, it's not a requirement. It's not a requirement for anybody. Okay? It's an honest assessment of where people are. There's a lot of people here who struggle with that vision because they assume it means I don't feel bad about them, or I like them, or I'd want to be friends with them, or I accept them. You don't even have to accept them, but that's a good start. Accepting us as all humans, as souls becoming. The idea of human is very strong, but in essence, we are all souls becoming. So take care, open your hearts, your minds, your souls, and as always, thank you for watching. Good night.